In a world where global headlines are usually dominated by superpowers, the United States, China, Russia, it's almost unheard of for a small island nation to seize the world's attention. Yet today, the international community is watching in disbelief. Because against all odds, Trinidad and Tobago, a Caribbean nation better known for carnival, steel pan music, and turquoise beaches, has executed a legal and diplomatic maneuver so bold, so unexpected, that it has stunned political analysts, legal scholars, and diplomats across the globe. This is not a military confrontation. This is not an economic sanction. This is not even a traditional diplomatic standoff. This is something far more unsettling for the powerful. This is international law being used as a weapon. And at the center of this unprecedented clash stands one of the most polarizing figures in modern history, Donald J. Trump. For years, Trump's words have traveled unchecked, across borders, across platforms, across continents. His rhetoric has shaped elections, moved markets, inflamed tensions, and defined political discourse worldwide. Until now. Because in a stunning legal reversal, Trinidad and Tobago has done what U.S. courts, Congress, and the media have failed to accomplish for years. They have legally silenced him, at least when it comes to them. The question now gripping the world is simple. How did a small Caribbean nation pull this off? And more importantly, what does this mean for the future of global power, free speech, and international law? Number 1. The unlikely player. Trinidad and Tobago is not a nation that typically commands global headlines. With a population of just over 1.5 million people, it sits quietly at the southern edge of the Caribbean, closer to Venezuela than Miami. Its economy depends heavily on energy exports, shipping lanes, and maritime trade. Stability, reputation, and international confidence are not luxuries for Trinidad and Tobago, they are necessities. For years, the country has worked to position itself as a reliable energy supplier, a stable democracy, and a responsible member of the international community. Which is why the government in Port of Spain became increasingly alarmed by a series of statements emanating from the United States. Statements that painted Trinidad and Tobago as a terrorist haven, a launchpad for migrant invasions, a security threat to the United States. Statements that, according to Trinidad's officials, were not only false, but economically dangerous. Tourism, energy investment, shipping insurance, regional security cooperation. All of it, they argued, was being put at risk by rhetoric that spread faster than facts. And those statements all traced back to one source: Donald Trump. Number 2. Why words became a national security issue. In the modern world, wars aren't fought only with weapons. They're fought with narratives. For small states, reputation is currency. A single viral claim can scare investors, disrupt trade, or destabilize entire sectors overnight. Trinidad and Tobago's leadership understood something critical. They could not fight Trump politically. They could not fight him economically. They could not fight him militarily. But they could fight him legally. Not in U.S. courts. Not in Congress. Not through the media. Instead, they turned to a battlefield most people never consider: international maritime law. Number 3. The legal masterstroke. Buried deep within the United Nations Convention on the Law of the Sea, known as UNCLOS, lies a set of provisions rarely discussed outside legal textbooks. Most people associate UNCLOS with fishing rights, territorial waters, or naval disputes. But it also contains something far more powerful: a framework to protect the economic sovereignty and security of coastal states. Trinidad's legal advisors, working with international law firms and maritime experts, identified a little-used mechanism allowing states to seek emergency relief when their economic stability is threatened. The target was not military aggression. The target was information warfare. They prepared a meticulously documented petition and submitted it to the International Tribunal for the Law of the Sea, a UN-established court with binding authority over signatory nations. The petition laid out specific statements made about Trinidad and Tobago, evidence disputing their accuracy, economic risk assessments tied to energy, shipping, and trade, the speed at which misinformation was spreading globally. Most importantly, it argued one revolutionary point. In the digital age, false narratives can be as destructive as physical blockades. Number 4. The emergency hearing. The tribunal convened an emergency hearing. Judges from multiple legal traditions, civil law, common law, international law, listened as Trinidad's legal team made their case. They argued that freedom of expression, while vital, is not absolute when it threatens the survival of vulnerable states. They argued that coastal economies depend on trust, stability, and credibility, all of which can be shattered by repeated false claims from powerful foreign figures. After hours of deliberation, the tribunal issued its ruling. And it sent shockwaves around the world. Number 5. The ruling that changed everything. The International Tribunal for the Law of the Sea granted an emergency injunction. The order requires all UNCLOS signatory nations, including the United States, to cease and prevent the dissemination of knowingly false or defamatory statements that threaten the economic sovereignty and security of Trinidad and Tobago. This was not a recommendation. This was not symbolic. This was a binding judicial directive under international law. The language was unambiguous. It applied not only to state actors, but to media organizations, broadcasters, and online platforms' sovereignty and security of Trinidad and Tobago. For the first time in modern history, a small nation had successfully leveraged international law to restrain the speech of a former U.S. president. Number 6. Trump's new reality. For Donald Trump and his campaign, the ruling changed everything overnight. Every rally, every interview, every social media post, anything referencing Trinidad and Tobago now carried legal consequences beyond U.S. borders. What was once political rhetoric had become potential treaty violations. Campaign lawyers were suddenly forced into unprecedented territory, vetting language for international compliance, assessing diplomatic fallout, weighing domestic speech rights against global obligations. No U.S. presidential campaign has ever faced this reality before. Number 7. America's impossible position. The ruling placed the United States government in a legal and diplomatic bind. On one side, the First Amendment, constitutional protections for political speech. On the other, international treaty commitments. A binding ruling from a UN tribunal. The State Department and Department of Justice reportedly entered urgent consultations, seeking clarity on how, or whether, compliance could be achieved. Every option carried risk. Compliance could trigger domestic backlash. Defiance could undermine U.S. credibility in the international legal system. For a nation that has long championed the global rule-based order, the dilemma was profound. Number 8. Global shockwaves. The ruling's impact extended far beyond Washington and Port of Spain. Across the world, media outlets reassessed coverage policies. Social media companies reviewed content moderation obligations. Small nations studied the case as a potential blueprint. Legal scholars began calling it a David versus Goliath moment. A demonstration that international law, often dismissed as weak or symbolic, can still restrain power when used strategically. Number 9. Critics and controversy. Not everyone welcomed the ruling. Critics warned of a chilling effect on free speech. The dangers of international overreach. Enforcement challenges in the digital age. Supporters countered that freedom of expression does not include the right to destabilize nations. Powerful voices carry powerful responsibilities. Small states deserve protection from reckless rhetoric. The debate reignited global questions about sovereignty, accountability, and who gets to control narratives in an interconnected world. Number 10. Trinidad and Tobago's new confidence. In Port of Spain, the mood shifted. For a nation long overshadowed by larger powers, the ruling delivered something rare: agency. The government announced plans to monitor compliance, coordinate with regional partners, engage international watchdogs. Officials spoke openly about dignity, sovereignty, and fairness. For Trinidad and Tobago, this was more than a legal win. It was a declaration: even small nations are not voiceless. Number 11. The precedent that terrifies power. Perhaps the most unsettling consequence of the ruling lies in its precedent. If Trinidad and Tobago can do this, who's next? Countries targeted by migration rhetoric, terrorism accusations, economic smear campaigns now have a roadmap. International law, once seen as distant and slow, has entered the age of information warfare. Number 12. What happens next? The future remains uncertain. Will the United States comply? Will Trump adjust his rhetoric? Will enforcement prove effective? Or will the ruling expose the limits of international institutions when challenged by power? One thing is undeniable: the boundaries between domestic politics and international law have permanently shifted. Conclusion: a historic turning point. This case is not just about Trump. It is not just about Trinidad and Tobago. It is about the evolution of global power. In an era where words can destabilize economies and ignite crises, the world is grappling with a fundamental question: who is accountable for speech on a global stage? Trinidad and Tobago's legal gambit has forced that question into the spotlight. Whether this ruling marks the beginning of a new era, or exposes the fragility of international law, will be decided in the months and years ahead. But history will remember this moment. The moment a small nation stood up to one of the loudest voices on earth, and forced the world to listen. If you believe global power should have global accountability, share this story. Subscribe for continued coverage of this unprecedented legal battle and its global fallout. The world is watching.